Braids did not come from Africa. Cornrows did not come from Africa. Locks did not come from Africa. A pressing curl damn sure ain't come from Africa. Jerry curls never came from nobody's Africa. Waves and a good old taper fade or a boosie fade never came from an African. Baby hairs, full out curls like that never came from Africans. And for damn sure, Afro did not come from African. I've already proved that in a video, not gonna get into that. But it's not hard today to see who was wearing the hairstyles of anything the most. We've had video for over 100+ years. So let's take a trip back and look at some old video of Africa in many different areas and see if we can find anybody wearing any kind of hairstyle. We'll also look at the American Indians, melanated.
Elaborately with mud and clay, but her hair is never washed. Feminine fashion, with a bit of flirtation as well. The haircut for the well-groomed young gentleman of the Zulu younger set is given by a traveling barber. The style being clippers all over, except for a strip of hair down the middle.
Now, don't mistake that for some hairstyle or some locks. No. At first, you might not have heard him, but he said they never wash their hair. That is still practiced today in many different areas. But regardless of that, that is just clumps of dirt, as they said, wrapped up. I wouldn't call it a lock, and they never get hardly no longer than about that long or so.
The biggest change since independence is that the people now feel that their country's future is in their own hands. In 1967, in a famous document known as the Arusha Declaration, Tanzanians have set their course. They are determined never to become dependent on other countries, to accept foreign aid only if there are no strings attached, and as soon as possible, to become a true socialist society. Tanzania has to resort to crime.
Even because they haven't got a permit, they can't get a job.
They can't get a job. So an empty stomach obviously knows no law.
And every year, 500,000 people are jailed because they break the special laws that apply to every black man, the pass laws. Black men must have their passbook at all times, at home in Soweto, at work in Johannesburg. But as South African industry expands, so does the demand for black labor.
So like I was saying, I showed you many different videos, many different parts of Africa, old, middle time as well, you know, early 1930s, 1950s, 1960s, 70s, and I've also showed you a little bit later. They was not making any hairstyles whatsoever. A little bit of clump up dirt and a little bit of mini little fake lock. But other than that, it was low cut, nothing. It was just on their head or they wrapped it up. Okay, now who did they learn all their hairstyles from? Well, who was doing hairstyles differently? Let's take a little look at some old video of us Indians over here in America in 1937 in Alabama.
The American Indian, parents of science and industry, Aboriginals, Alabama, 1937. We were intelligent. We built everything. We played instruments. We built immaculate buildings. Free energy civilization. The best tailors in the world. I'm Nubi One.
Now, I lot of males kept their hair low, as was a pretty good standard in the early 1900s, but we started exploring our hair a whole lot more. The women was looking on point. They were exploring their hairstyles. And you see how nice and flowing and straight and all that it was, but let's look at some other things a little bit later when the men started feeling a little bit more free. I hate this is cut off, but there are afros at the top. You'll see it come in. There's afros, there's different styles. They still kind of kept it low. Girls had some afros. This is when you start to see the afro kind of come into play a lot more, especially here, not really here a little bit, and then you got some more straight hair here, or a little bit of like poofs or whatever you call them, and some more afros here, and a ponytail here. This one helps to show the use of afros quite a bit in that time as well. Look at this. Look at her hair. Let's see, it's gonna come back up here. Hairstyle back there, afro. Different. I swear I'm starting to get annoyed with this app. I recorded something and it freezes up. Anyway, I was saying something. Oh, okay. So this is something I want to show next, which is going to show that this comes from a CBS News documentary called Harvest of Shame. Now, this shows what our hairstyles looked like in around the 1950s, 60s, if you were a poor American. Okay, now I showed you 1937 wealthy, melanated Indian Americans, right? And they had all kind of hairstyles popping off. But when you were in the 1950s, meaning they had access to the same knowledge of hairstyles, but you're going to see that they don't have as much money, but they still keep their hair in certain kind of ways. Notice that this little girl has hers parted with little braids and stuff. And I say, you know what? Even the way that we do our children's hair, you don't see that in the videos in Africa. We're going to look at a couple of more. You just see their hair gone, even on the little girls. But on the little boys, you see them cutting. That one looked like, they could have did a little bit better on that cut. But, they didn't have that much bread. They just try to do what they can do. But, they mom or aunt or whoever that was over them notice her hairstyle. Notice she has more hair. She ain't really doing much with it today. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got the money like that. But look, it's long. You can tell it's pretty straight. It's curly. It's straight. It's all of that all into one because our hair does that. But you can see that. And it's not just a random little afro mini super dupe. I wouldn't even call it's not an afro. It's not just a little patch of hair sitting on top of her head. She could let that down and it's probably flowing all the way long. But like I was saying, all of these hairstyles that we find today, now of course I didn't show any braids, but the braids was still started here. But we all know our folks was rocking braids back in the day. We all know we was rocking cornrows at a certain time period. We all know that we've been having locks. Locks has been a thing for a long time. Now, you don't really see it a lot in the mainland Americas all the time, but it was all over still in the Americas. Because you damn sure ain't gonna see it over there, as we've seen. They don't even grow their hair long enough to even try that. But you can even go back to old Mayan art. Zooming in, these people were depicted melanated with locks. These people had headdresses over their locks. These people had locks. Some people also say that on this person's hair is in locks as well, almost look like wicks. And we saw no instances in any of the videos that I showed you with them. This was the most diverse hairstyle that you could see. And I challenge you even now. And the last thing I want to do, because I showed you all that old African footage, you'll say, oh, that's different and new. Okay. Go to Indigo Traveler's page. He has 2 million views. And look at every person that he has in videos. As he goes about his travels, you'll see these things. The same damn things I've showed you in 1938. Or the 1930s or whatever it showed in those videos that I showed you. 1940s, 50s, and everything else. But still today, they choose to wear their hairstyles like this and their kids are done like this. You got one that might have a cornrow thing going on right there. So again, we just looked at modern Africa. We didn't see no braids, no cornrows, no locks, no pressing curls, no jerry curls, hardly any fades or twist No afros, no big curls, no baby hairs. Nothing. Not a damn nada. Quit playing with us.